Okay, I want to do a review about a movie I watched a long time ago, but I watched it again recently. Sister Street Fighter 2: Hanging by a Thread. The main actor is Atsuko Shihomi. Excellent martial artist, a real life martial artist. She wanted to be a movie actor. She went to school and learned martial arts and stuff. She was in a bunch of 70 martial arts films. My favorite female martial artist. Okay, so this movie is a sequel to the first Street Fighter movie. So basically, the basic plot is this: Koryu Lee, Tina Long in the dub version, is a sister of a missing undercover cop who was trying to bring down a brutal drug lord. Pressed into service by the cops, Karen, she travels to Hong Kong to find her brother, but things take a terrible turn, and she is left with the task of finding her brother and taking down a huge drug lord of her own. Basically, these drug lords are smuggling diamonds, and they're sewing the diamonds up in women's behinds. Okay, and they go and they cut the diamonds out later on. You know, not the deepest storyline, but hey, it is what it is. I'm a huge fan of hers. So let me tell you what I like about the movie. Martial arts were pretty good. If you like female martial artists or just good martial arts in general, you'll like her. She's good. You can tell she knows what she's doing. Her fighting is very good. A lot of fighting, a lot of action. Love the soundtrack. Most of her movies have a good soundtrack. You know, some of the music is reused from the first movie, but that's cool. I'm fine with it because the first movie had good music. Yeah, basically, I love the soundtrack. Love the fighting. That's pretty much what you want in a martial arts film. You know, good action, good fighting. You know, most of the time the camera angles are good. You can tell what's going on. Yeah. So basically, you know, if you just want to watch a good martial arts picture, not the best one I've seen, but definitely far from the worst. You don't sit back and vegetate. It's good. If you're a fan of other movies, this is a good one to watch. It's a good martial arts picture. For back in the time period that came out. Now, I will say there are some things that you might want to be aware of. There's a lot of violence here. It is violent. You know, one guy gets his eye pulled out. Somebody gets their hand chopped off. There's some blood. There's a lot of violence, a lot of blood. There's a lot of nudity. You know, most of her movies have a lot of nudity in them. So there's a lot of that. Okay. There's a few times with the camera angles. 95% of the movie, the camera angles are good. There's a few times where that camera angles, I had a little trouble telling what was going on during the fight scenes, but that's usually not a problem. I love her as an actor, okay, but most of the acting in this movie isn't really that deep. It's kind of flat. It's not horrible. It's not great. Though it suits the purpose. It suits the purpose. So if you're looking for great acting, this is probably not going to be the movie for you. To be honest with you, the movie's not really written that way. It's really written to be an action picture. You know, some of the people might be great actors, but that's not what this movie's here for. I call this movie a sequel, but to be honest with you, it's kind of just like a rehash of the first movie. And in some ways, I kind of feel like it was inferior to the first movie. I love her. Like I said, I love her fighting in this movie, but I don't know if it was the particular moves. They don't seem as good to me. Her fighting doesn't seem as good to me as the first and the third movie in the series, but it's still great. Okay. So, also, if you're looking for like a really deep storyline, you can keep walking. There's no deep storyline here, and the storyline is basically rehashed from the first movie. She fights some weird, quirky characters, which that's one thing I love about her movies. Like, these dudes look like some rejects from other martial arts films or a James Bond movie or something. That's one thing I like about her movies. Her enemies, they look deadly and corny at the same time. You know, they look like they really beat somebody to death, but they look super corny too. Yes, it's a good movie, man. Like I said, just a little minor things. The violence, the blood, there's a little profanity. There's some scenes where women get abused. I mean, mostly what's in the movie, she's fighting thugs. These guys are gangbangers, so of course they're not going to be nice to these women. You got some scenes with, you know, some pretty rough female abuse in there. Okay. If you want a solid martial arts picture, this is one for you. I would definitely check it out. I think one thing about this movie, though, that I didn't like is the main villain in the movie. Same problem as the first movie. The fight with the main villain at the end wasn't that interesting. I would say actually it's worse. At least she did halfway fight the guy, the final boss of the first movie. Here, it's just extremely boring. She beats him quick. He runs away. She beats the crap out of him. I don't know if this guy actually knew martial arts, but they could have spent a little more time with the final fight scene, the last boss. Fighting the head cheese. That should be a decent fight, which it wasn't in this movie. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I said, not my favorite movie starring her. I like part 1 and part 3 of Sister Street Fighter better than part 2. Part 2, I just never could get into it as much. I don't know why, but it's not a bad movie. It's above average for that era, in my opinion. But like I said, definitely worth to watch. If you like martial arts movies, if you like female martial artists, definitely worth to watch. She has a light screen presence to me. The problem with these movies is, in my opinion, they never really have anybody else who matches her up to her in terms of screen presence. They have this one guy, I can't think of his name. And he's been, I think, in all 3 of her movies. I got it in the Sister Street Fighter collection, which is pretty good. I think it has all 4 of her movies: Sister Street Fighter 1, 2, 3, and Sister Street Fighter, the 5th level fist or whatever. Which, yeah, I don't know. I think that's actually a separate movie that they took and called Sister Street Fighter and had nothing to do with the actual Sister Street Fighter films. But those are all good movies. And that box set of the Sister Street Fighter collection, they're all remastered, so they all look great. They look great to me. The DVD remastered. I know there's a Blu-ray out, but I've not watched that movie Blu-ray or purchased it. I know you can get the first movie on Amazon streaming, but that looks really crappy. If you're gonna buy this movie, I would get the Sister Street Fighter collection. So just my thoughts, but it's a pretty good movie. Check it out.